Okay guys, I'm pretty much done now. I'm going to do like a showcase video with some still photographs in a sec, but I'm just waiting to get the airbrush cleaned and then I'm going to do some matte varnish just to seal in everything I've done today. Tracks are really muddy, there's dust all over the tank, the decals have weathered in nicely in my opinion. Just to show you as well, managed to fix that damaged decal. Basically my girlfriend does decals for me because I got big sausage fingers and she fixed it for me, so thanks a lot, Lauren. I did my highlights on the back. Focus. Okay, you can see some dust there as well. I'll tell you why it's so dusty and beaten up in a sec. One thing I did discover though, back of the Sherman turret sometimes has this little thing, which is a turret bin. But basically I was looking up pictures of Guards Armoured Division tanks and I couldn't see any pictures with the turret bit on, so I didn't put it on. And then yesterday when I was looking up squad markings I found a picture with one on, so I'm going to have to paint it up and stick it on the back. But for now, well, I can't be bothered. It will get done, but probably not for a while because I want to start some infantry. Maybe some Germans. See you in a bit. Okay guys, I just want to start off by saying I hope you all had a great Christmas and got a lot of happy goodness. This is the finished Guards Armoured Division Sherman. I've tried to make him look really muddy and beaten up because in my mind's eye I am painting up an army that took part in Operation Goodwood. It rained really heavily prior to the operation based in Normandy, and as Normandy is full of rural roads, the conditions were extremely muddy. I was lucky enough to go to Normandy for a university trip and also found that even in dry conditions the high winds would lead to dusty conditions, meaning dust would collect in the crevices as shown on my tank. The decals are still visible although really muddy as I wanted them to tie in with the tank. I've tried to use streaking effects to create dust trails that the rain would have left, and basically I've done this because solid green tanks can look pretty boring on the board. There's also pigment on the top of the tank because Shermans were also used to transport infantry. Basically the infantry would pop on the back and drive about. I've tried to keep the pigments in the areas where it would collect. Basically Operation Goodwood captured my imagination because of two main features. Basically neither side could claim it was a victory. The Allies gained land but lost a lot of tanks and also used a lot of artillery shells and air dominance to their abilities, but there was no real goal set out by Montgomery. He never specified his true goals, and although publicly he praised it as a victory, his commanding officer Eisenhower, who was the overall commander in Normandy, saw it as a failure. He expected a breakthrough. That did not happen. Although there is argument that operations such as Operation Goodwood led to the Germans moving their armour and heavier forces to the British sector in Normandy, allowing the Americans to break through later in Operation Cobra. On the German side, they lost much land, so that can be considered a loss, but they killed so many allies that it could also be considered a victory in the situation. A lot of literature debates back and forth. Personally, I like that. It's a bit controversial. The Guards Armoured no longer exist today. They were returned to be an infantry division as they were before World War II, and Montgomery personally oversaw the farewell to armour parade. I chose the standard Sherman because to me it's one of the most iconic vehicles of the Allies. Basically the Sherman was the most common vehicle and it was heavily customisable, although it had a higher silhouette than the British Cromwell, meaning it was easier to hit. Due to its engineering it was more customisable. There could be a 17-pounder anti-tank gun to compete with heavier German armour. The Brits also mounted artillery to the top to create what's called priests and sextons. They put flamethrowers on the top, and the Canadians even removed the turret to create the first armoured personnel carriers. It is mechanically reliable, although the 75mm cannon like this one is shown with was quite ineffective against heavy German armour. They were mass produced though, so that kind of counteracts the fact that there was very few heavy German tanks such as the Tiger. I think there was 85 in Normandy. And basically because of this, the Shermans were everywhere. They were created by the Americans and dished out, and during Operation Goodwood a Sherman tank saw 3 Tigers and a King Tiger. Knowing he couldn't take it out with 75mm, he rammed it, jumped at the top and ran and got a Firefly. I think that's pretty damn cool. Sorry, just one more thing before I go. I forgot to mention the Sherman that rammed the King Tiger was driven by a guy called Lieutenant Gorman, where he was the tank commander and his driver was Corporal James Brown. But basically they were members of the Irish Guards, and they were members of this ferry squad that I've painted up with the blue square, which is why I chose it. And also I didn't use War Department numbers because I could not find a transfer with the correct numbers to be that particular vehicle. Thanks.